Hello everybody, welcome to tonight's stream. Let's get this over to here. Alright everybody, so this is a new map that I designed using, I used resources from 2 Minute Tabletop. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're a great resource. And they have a lot of pay what you want and free things. So I got these tiles that I put together with these buildings and stuff to build this map. I'm actually really proud of how it came out. I put a lot of effort into it. And you know, I've been feeling so because of just the nature of the campaign that I'm running and having the players go through all of these different places, it can get hard to keep up with having battle maps and things and town maps for each place or location that they visit. And it's just been really easy to Google stuff and get stuff off the internet from community forum posts and so on and so forth. But I felt kind of weird about it because I'm streaming it, and it just felt like if I'm streaming it, it should be something I make myself or something I get made for it. And it's just been this kind of this interesting feeling. And I don't know, it felt nice to build my own map. I'm actually working on another one. Like, this is going to be where their mech is, where their ship is currently parked. They have their ship is parked inside the remains of this building right here. And I'm planning this to be the location of this big mecha boss fight that's going to be coming, where they're fighting against this enemy that is able to manipulate light and shadow in order to make themselves invisible. And that's always interesting when you have an enemy that can go invisible against a group of players that don't have any form of advanced sensing powers. Like, they have basic sensors, they have enhanced vision, enhanced hearing, they have radar, but they don't have anything that penetrates concealment or counters concealment. So that's going to be interesting. That's one of the things I like about Roll20, is that I can see what my players have and what they don't have, which makes it useful for designing characters and designing challenges for them. Let me just quickly show you the map I've been working on. So I got a lot of the streets laid out that I'm gonna fill it in, and I'm gonna fill in the cement parts between the streets, and then after that I'm gonna start layering on buildings and put the smokestacks and stuff, and that should prove to be pretty interesting. But let's get into the meat of today's stream. We are going to be building a new character. A psychic ninja lieutenant. I probably misspelled that. Yes, I know I did. So I was going through in the Deluxe Heroes Handbook, I was going through the character generation tool with the archetypes and stuff, and I realized that there were other ways to build different kinds of ninjas, and I was thinking about what one of the other players had talked about. Not one of the players, one of you all actually had discussed about designing ninjas that had different powers and what that would look like. So I thought, when I was looking at this, that the psychic has a build that they term as a ninja. Let's see, this is on page 82. If you want to see what I'm working with, I'm starting on page 82 of the Deluxe Heroes Handbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through this, build the character. It's going to be built as a PL10, and then I'm going to scale it back in order to decrease it down to a PL8 character. That'll be a viable challenge that's not like super boss mob, that makes a good mini boss for my players. So that's what we're working on today. But first, like I said, we're building this character as, no, not a PL40, PL10. A PL10 character. 150 power points. And then I'm going to scale it back to PL8 and around 120 power points. I can excuse a couple things being a little off. Like, since this is an NPC and it's not a player character, I can excuse this being like 130 or 125 or something like that. But I definitely want it to be less than 150. So let's go with this. All right. So we're starting here with the abilities. We're going to start with a Psychic Warrior, which starts with 2 strength, 2 agility, 4 fighting, 4 awareness, 2 stamina, 2 dexterity, 2 intellect, and 0 presence. The 0 presence kind of bugs me a little bit, but you know, that is what it is. All right, next, now that we've got the those, let's go to advantages. D21s. Let's see, what do I want here? Charmed life, contemplative, thought leader, trained fighter. Let's do trained fighter. So trained fighter gets improved initiative, power attack. Power attack is such a versatile, like, the attack modification advantages are so powerful. I'm gonna start using those on my why did that just move up there? That's weird. I don't understand why that just moved up there, but okay. Anyway, now we go to skills. Let's roll D20 twice. Gonna go with ninja and sneak. So ninja, acrobatics 4, perception 4, stealth 4, sneak has got deception 4, perception 4, and stealth 4. Okay, it's already got lower stealth than the regular one, so this is not going super great, but we'll see what this looks like after we get some powers behind it. Alright, so psionic. Let's see. I don't like... So the psionic gives you lots of, like, damaging powers. But, like, I like the psi knife. I'm on page 83, but, like, I like it. But I don't like the telekinetic, because that doesn't fit the profile I'm looking for. I could probably mix and match the psychic powers, because let me see, they're all 24 points, right? Yeah, so I'll take the telekinesis, and then I'll get some of the other ones. Okay. Go to powers. So I'll call this shadow control. Gonna be 10 ranks. 2 per rank with 4. Move object 10. Accurate 4. So with that, accurate 4 means it's gonna add 8. What's the dexterity on this thing? Dexterity is 2, so that means just using the shadow control to throw things at people will be a viable attack strategy. That's actually really funny. Okay. Well, first thing I gotta get roll the d20 once, record the result of the first power in an array, and then so that's a separate power entirely from this array. Okay. This should definitely be something interesting. Well, first thing I'm getting is call it the shadow knife. It's gonna be 8 damage. Resisted by will, so that's gonna be 2 per rank. With another 8, so that's 24. Damage 8. Penetrating 4. Accurate 4. Resisted by will, which is what increases it. So penetrating 4 doesn't make a lot of sense to me right there, because you're never going... That just doesn't fit there. I'm replacing that with improved crit 4, because that just makes more sense to me. What is this? Next we get gonna call this Shadow Burst. This is going to be 3 Range, burst area, damage 8. Label that as an alternate effect. And then I want 2 more. Shadow sword, because you have the shadow knife. So let's see what this one is. We got damage 8, accurate 4, which gives plus 8. Effects insubstantial 2. Penetrating 8. Penetrating 8. Reach 1. Split 1. Okay. So that's 8 ranks. Damage 1. Then we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 8, 16. So this, I think, is worth having the penetrating, because the penetrating covers most, if not all, of the ranks of the power. And that's actually going to be relevant against some of the threats that this thing's going to be fighting against. All right. And then I want 1 more. So we've got range burst area damage 8, which is fine. We've got the point blank damage 8. We've got resisted by will too. The shadow knife and the shadow sword are probably Let's see what else we got here. This is tough. 10. Oh, because it's cumulative. Okay. So I'm adapting these things because they're supposed to be telekinetic. Let's take for the last one invisibility. But I'm going to modify the psionic invisibility because shadow cloak. Concealment 10, all senses. it uses the limit to cover for being, because in the book the psionic invisibility is concealment 10, affects others, limited concealment only works against beings with a brain, precise reach 3, which I like the precise. The limit means that you can have affects others, so you can make yourself invisible as well as other individuals, which that's really good, but I don't see the need for it, honestly, because this is, unless I'm like, yeah, I could just say concealment, all senses, precise, so you can have certain parts of you visible or invisible. I don't know what else to give it. Like, let's see if there's any other modifiers I can add to concealment. Let's flip over through the book. Not really. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to add to it. So this was just going to be a little bit undercosted, and that's fine. All right. So that's got those powers covered. Now we get the defensive powers. So now we're going for, obviously, armored costume and combat training. Okay, I don't know how many points this is going to be yet, but let's see what we got here. Protection 4. Subtle. Removable. -1. Enhanced. Advantage. 8. And that is defensive attack. Defensive roll 2. Evasion. Improved defense. That's good. Improved initiative. Instant up. Takedown. Then enhanced defenses. Enhanced defenses 8. Dodge +4. Parry +4. Alright, so let's look at the cost of this. Enhanced defenses 8 cost 8 points. Protection 4, so that's 4 points. So the base power is 4. Then you got 2 8s is 16. Okay. Those probably should have been separate powers, but okay. Whatever. Probably should have had the armor costume. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna separate these. Because that's going to bug me if I don't. Then just armored costume. That's going to be 0. Protection 4. Subtle 1. Removable. -1. Okay. Alright, next. Gotta look at... Wow, if I was building this... Ooh. Could take a modified shadow step on this. Yeah, that could work. Because I don't see anything else that's really worth taking. Well, I could take Inhuman for immunity 5 with critical hits, disease, poison, and choose like vacuum or something, but eh. Yep, we'll just do Shadow Step. Alright, so Shadow Step. It's going to be 2 ranks, a 2 per rank. With 1 bonus. Teleport 2. 120 feet. Accurate. Distracting. Subtle 1. Okay. So this means this person can move 120 feet and come out completely silent. All right. Now it's time for defenses. Armored costume 4, defensive roll 2. Right? Let me check this. I got uncanny dodge, advanced. Just gotta label this combat training. Yeah, you got defensive roll 2. I always like to note the temporary defensive stuff here. Oh yeah, and oop. So now for defenses, we got dodge 6 plus 6 dodge plus 4 parry plus 5 fortitude and plus 8 will. And then for the extra 4 dodge and parry toughness for the advanced training. And that gives us a power level 10 psychic ninja. Let's look at what we've got here. Do we have any advantages for close attack? Nope. Any of these? None of these are close attack. Okay. So the base melee is going to be pretty weak. 4, and I think their strength was like 2. Yeah. Not the best in the world. Definitely not super impressive. And actually, that's going to go down because I have to put... Actually, I'll say this. This one is, unlike the other ones, isn't one of the tall, lanky ninjas. This is a student. So I introduced this concept into my lore for my game, that there's this one individual, Shadow Knight, that was not one of the moon people, trained. He wasn't born in the monastery. He trained there in order to become a ninja, but then he didn't agree with their methods and left. So I'm thinking of having this character be like the foil to him, where this is a character that came trained to be a ninja, even though they weren't born into this tradition, but stayed. Unarmed attack. Okay. Next we got shadow control. Oh, hey, Captain Patriot. Your psychic character? I'm not sure how it would compare. Like I said, I'm going off of the base design from the character generator tool in the Deluxe Heroes Handbook. I'm building this as a PL10, and then I think I'm going to scale it down to a PL8. All right, shadow control is move object 10, so thrown object with 10 there. Just throwing an object with shadow control. Then there's Shadow Knife, which is actually a really interesting power. Not the button I wanted. Oh, okay. I think I gave this one improved crit. Yeah, I gave this one improved crit instead of penetrate. If they have impervious will, that's high enough that they can resist the Shadow Knife, that's on them. That's good for them. Okay. You did post it on my Discord. I remember that. Do next. Shadow Burst is toughness DC. Actually, I'm not going to call that Shadow Burst. Yeah, I will. Just a burst of shadow energy. Shadow Sword, however, is funny. So because it has split, you can split it into dual wielding it. With that penetrating 8. This is going to be really good for cutting down some enemies. Do. Okay. So I've got the basic attacks loaded up. Now this is still... How would you build Spider-Man? I actually think I did a video where I built Miles Morales Spider-Man a while back. Cat Patriot, she's not as psychic as this guy. Mental prowess is likely more formidable. Oh, okay. CBEV 1994, a PL11 Spider-Man. That would be an interesting character to build. I think my Miles, I believe, was a PL10 character. But basically, I would build it probably. I'd probably use. Let me see. In the Deluxe Heroes Handbook, I really like using the archetypes as bases for designing characters because it gives you some really good stuff to work with. And then even if you change it, it's nice to have, like, the Deluxe Heroes Handbook stuff gives you all of your bases covered, and then if you need to change something, you can. So I would probably build... What's the arthropod powers? Yeah, that would work. If I was going to build something like Spider-Man, I would use... For just a regular Spider-Man character, not a Miles Morales, I would use the Totem archetype, the arthropod variety. It's in the Deluxe Heroes Handbook, page 95. And you could just you could have as a descriptor that the web snare and web tether were attached to your wrists. You could alternately give them the removable trait, but that would be between you and your GM. If there was a chance, you'd only give them removable if there was actually a chance that your enemies would be able to rip them off of you in combat. But yeah, doing something like that for the spider build of the arthropod powers of the totem, I think would be a really good way to build that character. And from that point, you can make changes as you need to. You said you wanted to do a PL11. I would build that PL10 character, and then you would just walk it up to PL11 by increasing your damage, increasing your on-hit bonuses, increasing your defenses, and maybe taking a few extra skills in order to take you from that 150 to 165 power point. Something like that sound like it might work for you? You're right, his web shooters have been crushed before, but I would wonder if that would be, if that wouldn't be better represented as a power loss complication, saying that, like, the web shooters can be damaged or crushed. I don't know. It's weird because, so, removable, even base removable, gives you 20% of your points you spend back on the power, which some people feel like is just a whole lot. So sometimes I like to use the complications, a power loss complication instead, to be like, okay, these specific powers come from, they come from that device, but if it's a device, you should still have it be removable so that way it can be broken. Oh, okay, great. I did that Miles video forever ago. It's been a while since I did it. But CBev, I hope you have a great game. What kind of game are you going to be running? Are you going to be running your Spider-Man character in? maybe. So the thing is, as soon as you make a power removable, that means that it becomes a viable target for a smash attack, which is exactly what you're talking about with like crushing his web shooters. And that is a very important mechanic that can act as a very strong limiting factor. And so that's one of the reasons why, like, the arguments for using the removable flaw, because as soon as something becomes removable, it's considered a device. And being considered a device opens you up to a lot of different ways to have the powers removed. That's the thing. Okay. I don't remember how I did the web shooters in that video. I have to go back and rewatch that. Pretty much an Incredibles Young Justice style game. My Spider-Man is 100% a mutant though, and his hero name is Anansi. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so first let's walk back the defenses. How am I gonna do this? Well, the short answer is just take all these defenses down. That's 10 plus 8, 18. That's still too high. So if I'm walking this down to PL6, or PL8, not PL6, PL8. So, I want the armor to go down. Probably just... Do I just take out the defensive roll? Yeah, we'll just take out the defensive roll. Which brings the advantages down to 6. So then that goes down there. So that's the defenses walk down. Now let's walk down the attacks. So move object. I want the move object, since if you throw something with move object, it's thrown with the damage equal to your ranks in move object. So this move object is intended to be used as a damaging attack. So I want to walk that down to 8. And then shift that to accurate 3 plus 6. As the primary power. Okay. I'll leave the unarmed attack alone because that doesn't need to get worked down. And then all of the other ones, the Shadow Knife, Shadow Sword, all those need to get worked down. Basically, I need them to go down to 10-6. That's what I need them to go down to. So let's see what that looks like. One thing I like to do is to take everything off of being alternate effects whenever I'm editing the array, just so that way it doesn't give me weird errors at the top of my screen. So first we walk this down, being damage. 6. I'll walk that down as well. I bought Miles' web abilities as just powers. Okay. Do. I'll walk down the improved crit as well. Alright, so I'll drop everything down to it costing 18 points. So that's going to be 6. Crit range walks up to 17. Then accurate 3. Okay. So that checks off. Now the Shadow Sword. So drop that down to 6. Basically, I want this to go down to damage 6. Penetrate 6. Accurate 3, which gives plus 6. What's that lead me to? That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I need to short off one more. We'll pull the reach off. Honestly, looking back on it, I might have even just used the totem build when I was building Miles. I might have just used that and just made some tweaks to it. Now that I'm thinking about it. Okay. All right, and then Shadow Cloak. Limit. Shadow. Precise. All right, so this means that the concealment only works in a place where you can get under shadow. There has to be darkness. That means if someone shines a light on the darkness, they'll see you. But this, I question how effective it'll be, but I think it's cool, and it's the same limitation I put on all my other characters. All right. So just doing that's already gotten me down to 129. Ba 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 ba. Next, I'll do. what's it called for this? Gosh, I forgot the name of the thing for the teleport, the modifier. Medium, that's it. Since this is supposed to be a ninja. Nope, that's not an alternate effect. With 4 teleport, that means this psychic character can move 500 feet. All right. So this is a pretty solid build. Because of power attack, all of these attacks have the potential of getting stronger. They're all at least damage 6, which is important because you can, when you use power attack, even if you have the power attack advantage, you can't more than double the effect ranks of a power. So if you have damage 3, even with power attack, you can't increase it past 6. So having something be at least 5 ranks is really important to maximize your use of power attack. So then I take this defensive roll off. So this isn't so much a psychic. I used the psychic base for it, but I described everything as being just manipulating the shadows that this character is surrounded by. I like the Shadow Knife being the high crit attack that's resisted by will. This idea of making a knife that just cuts into the user's mind. Now, the thing that's really funny with this build, right, is that if this character goes into concealment mode with the Shadow Cloak, they can't use any of their other attacks besides the Shadow Control, which is the move object, which they can use to throw things. So it's good that there's still some base there. Overall, I know I don't have it. Okay. Overall, I'm happy with the design. I could probably short a few skills. How many skills do I have? Yeah, I could short a little bit of skills. And geez, there's not a lot of skills to short. I wanted to get under 128, so 127 is kind of a good threshold for this. I like to stay in the same ballpark for characters, especially if they're not the big bad. So yeah, that's how I call it walking it down. Some people call it different things, but that's how you take a character down down 2 power levels. You decrease, you make sure everything stays within range. Like if I wanted to short those last 7 power points, I could probably drop some of the ability ranks. Drop some some of the things for this enhanced training, for these enhanced advantages. Yeah, so I mean, there are things I could do with that, but I'm not going to just because I feel like this fits for this design. So I wanted to share, so I actually was curious, Captain Patriot, looking at this character, how does this compare to your psychic character? Your psychic character, since it was an actual psychic and not a straight out ninja, probably had a lot more mental powers, or did you mention something about that? Oh, not a psychic. Ah. This is very much built for combat. This character is designed to go forward and fight the players. Probably use probably create darkness and shadow, and then like take out the lights, and as soon as the lights are out, go through. Though I'm realizing there's one problem with this. This character can't see in the dark. So we are going to take out improved defense. And we're going to take out defensive attack. To drop that down to 4. To take senses 2, dark vision. Fighting and agility at 6, that's very powerful. Sounds like you heavily invested in ability ranks. Dodge and parry at 8. Well, this character has higher dodge and parry, but this character's he's very squishy. If he gets caught, he gets caught. I kind of wish I'd given this character a little bit more. Ooh, combat precognition. That's a powerful ability. So is that just increased? Ah. So is that just increased dodge and parry for the combat precognition? Oh, it's okay. Oh, all right. No worries. I didn't realize that. That's fine. That's fine. Also, I want to show you guys. So last time I did one of these streams, I built a character on stream that became this character. And I went back, and you can see I added, there's a lot of points that got added since then. I went back and I added some of the features that were a part of the other options and kind of just combined a lot of those features together. And built up this character, and it came out really well, actually. And I added a lot of features that were from the ninjas, from the Mystic Ninja, from the Game Master's Handbook, Guidebook. So one of the things that was an option for some of the martial artists in the character creation guide or whatever was these powers that were all 12 points. And I grabbed those to describe this like complete control of power. And then another one of those powers was this weightless step, this leaping 3. And I got that along with along with a couple other powers that are all based off of the powers from the they're all based off of the powers from the Game Master's Guide Mystic Ninja, because there's a lot of really good powers there. But I added this to them because it dawned on me that I can't have a character who's completely manipulating shadows that can't see in the dark. Oh, you've been working from the DC Mutants and Masterminds books. How are those? Also, I built this character a grenade belt, this pile of these AoE effects that he can throw out in order to manipulate combat. All of them costing, what is this, 16? Range, cloud area, concealment. No, yeah, they all cost 16. They're cool, nice to have character sheets for them. That's really awesome. Are you playing one of the characters from the DC books, or didn't they come out with their own like Game Masters or their own Player's Handbook or something? So I also built this as this is their base. I'm still working on designing a map for it, but this is the base that they operate out of, their moon monastery. It's an awesome size with toughness 20, has a combat simulator, computer, defense system. The defense system is a range damage 10 with a plus 10 to hit. fire prevention system, gym, hangar, holding cells, infirmary. It's isolated, has a laboratory, living space, power system, security system 2, workshop, personnel, library, and concealed 2. And it also has the special ability, the Dragon Stone. This is the stone that lets their leader live for so long. It's a power X ability, so it's heal X. So it heals it heals however much the plot needs it to. They have 4 books, 1 rule book, 1 universe book, and 2 monster books. Oh, that's really cool. I think I've seen the 2 monster books, but I don't think I've seen the rule book or the universe book. How are those? But yeah, so the hero and villain books. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen those. I've seen those and images of those. But how's the universe book? What's like? Is that like a Freedom City book or something describing the world and stuff? They were accurate. Well, I'm sure they were. They put a lot of time and effort into it. Why do I have smartphone here? Why would this character have a smartphone? I'm just going to label that as miscellaneous equipment. I like building characters with miscellaneous equipment just so they can say they have something worth a couple points. Not that it super matters for the big bad, but like why would this super big bad ninja have a smartphone? Describes the major cities and major plot elements of the universe like Apocalypse. Oh, that's really cool. I'll be honest with you, lately, I have been on the biggest like hyperfixation, like kick for Batman content, especially the Arkham games. Like I never even played them, but like I've been just watching videos about them for like the last almost a week now. And it has just been the most random thing ever. To the point that for the character I built, I mean, it might have started because I was basing so much of this evil organization on the League of Shadows. I mean, the League of Assassins, sorry. On the League of Assassins. And their entire thing is kind of this twisted take on the League of Assassins. And then I just got on this Batman kick. So I built this character. This is the character that trained with the I call them the Fuetes Lunae, which is Latin for League of the Moon. The combat flows so amazingly in the Arkham games. You are so right. So this is the character that went and trained with the Fuetes Lunae, but believed that they weren't doing enough in order to make the universe a better place, and that they'd been corrupted from their original charter and left. So this got really complicated with my story, but I had this idea of what if there's this big supernatural tug of war between these space demons and these space dragons, and they're using different factions as their tools, and the space dragons are trying to encourage discovery, creativity, and uniqueness, and so they've charged the Fuetes Lunae with going forth and curbing the innate exploitation and destruction of the galaxy. But the Fueres Lunae took that to saying, well, empires are good whenever they're good, but then they're really bad when they're bad. So then they protect the evil empires that raise up, but then they cut off their heads and assassinate their leaders at the very end before they reach their ultimate peak of getting to their late stages. And Shadow Knight says that's not enough. So he left them in order to travel the galaxy using his resources to overwhelm opponents, to intimidate them, to threaten the bad guys into actually not doing bad things instead of just waiting for them to stop. He has all kinds of equipment and stuff, and he's a shadow warrior. But I also realized when I was building him, right, that he had a lot of the stats that I gave my mecha pilots. So I was like, well, what kind of mech would Batman pilot? Like, I know there's the Bat mech from the Mechs vs. Monsters. I almost used that. I almost used that icon. I was ready to use that icon. But I was like, that just felt like it wouldn't fit too well. So I went with this one, which I don't know if you've ever seen Gundam Seed, but this mech is known for the fact that it can turn invisible. And so I built this as a machine that can turn invisible, has a variety of weapons and attacks, and has a utility belt. Now, I built the utility belt. I like how I came up with the utility belt for this. The utility belt I built as a variable power with the restriction that it can only form the gadgets on the utility belt. And I gave it subtle, so that way it pulling the stuff from the utility belt won't attract attention, so it's going to be hard to notice. And then I designed all of these powers that are all things that can be pulled out of the utility belt. They're less effective than the base powers, but like, I thought it was fitting. Though it's funny, this mech's main weapon is a giant blowtorch. I was reading, I found a PDF of some of the stuff from some of the Bat family characters from the DC books. I've only ever run one M&M campaign. It was a short-term game where the world was the cusp of a zombie apocalypse and the heroes tried to put a stop to the source of it. Ooh, that's exciting. So how did the heroes try to stop the zombie apocalypse? But yeah, so I was reading some of the stuff about the Bat family because I've just been on a Bat kick. So I found some PDFs of it from like the DC books, and it had this thing of a blowtorch, which was damaged. So it was weakened toughness affects objects damage, and it was all just one rank. And I'm like, okay, so what would happen if this machine had a giant blowtorch? And that's where this came in. It just carves things up. And has the shadow darts, which are essentially these giant batarangs that it chucks at people. I tried to design this character, this mech, with the idea of being more accurate than damaging. Definitely accuracy shifted, with a couple very notable differences. The one is the Shadow Blaster, but that only ever gets used in most desperate situations. My Shadow Knight, even though he looks like Batman and he has a lot of Batman's morals and ideals, doesn't have an issue with guns. He just doesn't use them because they're not as effective. His shadow darts are going to do more damage than your average gun will. so I was watching the Arkham games, and you know how the Arkham games, their combat's all about combos and doing all of those combos and attacking so many times. And I had this idea of the only power I give him is Combo Strike, which gives multi-attack 6 on his strength damage. So then anything strength damage up to damage 6 will have multi-attack. Any strength-based damage. So that gives his melee attacks, that gives his thrown darts, that gives his Shadow Knuckle, which are these super powerful bludgeoning knuckles. And yeah. But I am actually curious, Captain Patriot, how your players stop the zombie apocalypse. Also, what do you guys think of the map I made? Like I said, I used resources from 2 Minute Tabletop because they have stuff you can get for free there, and I put this map together. They found a high density energy source which Darkseid used to spread his fragments of the anti-life equation. The heroes went to Apocalypse to stop him, and I think my heroes used the high energy source against him. Ooh, that's exciting. But honestly, I've been debating getting one of the map making apps that I can like just upload things into, just because it's so easy making maps in Roll20, but you can't export them to take them anywhere. You can't. Thank you. Let me show you. I organized all of these things. I finally organized all the images I have in Roll20. So I got these city street tiles and I put them together, right? And oh, come on. I've had these. There's like 190 some odd of these that I've had forever that I finally used. But it's fun to use them and to design things. I could get more of those free things, and I probably will at some point. It just, there's a limit to how much stuff you can have on Roll20. Yeah, they do. And it's not like the Roll20 stuff is bad. Like, I bought a warehouse asset that I get extensive use out of. And I think it's always great to support artists. I think that's always a good thing. And I like that Roll20, at least they claim that that's their like their mission statement, their thing that they're doing. But I've debated, because I think there's like Wonder Draft and there's like Dungeon something or other that are these I know they're advertised on 2 Minute Tabletop as like things that their icons and their packs are compatible with. And I've been debating getting one of those because like they're only like 20 or 30 bucks. But you get you get so much stuff with them. Like, I have to keep telling myself, hey, you're borderline homeless. Let's not be spending frivolous money on a map making program, you know? Let's read the room. Actually, I just realized I'm on the wrong layer. I was wondering why all those icons were shaped like that. Alright, well. Just move it to the map layer. There we go. But I really like I found some scripts that are designed to let you export your maps out of Roll20. And that's something I've been debating doing myself. Just so that way I can keep my maps if I make them. Because that's the one thing I don't want to... That's actually exactly what I did, Captain Patriot. Because I was on the wrong layer. So I was putting them on the objects and tokens layer. All the rest of them are here on the map layer. Hope you don't mind indulging me as I goof around with just making some maps. There we go. What, to copy your maps out of Roll20? I know you have to activate, like, Chrome's developer mode. I know you have to activate Chrome's developer mode. I have no idea what API access is. Huzzah! Another street light out. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm not. Oh no. Uh, that is a very important question. Because if you need API, if you have to be a paid member of Roll20, I thought it was just going through your Google Chrome window. Shows how much I know about all this stuff. That's gonna be a real bummer, honestly, if I have to be a paid member in order to use that. Because hey, it's no problem, Captain Patriot. You're welcome to enter lurk mode. I'm just gonna be goofing around with this I'm gonna be goofing around with this map for a little bit. Just goofing around with this. Glad to have you in lurk mode, though. Actually, that something I don't need here. That's what I need. So, I had this idea for my world that there's this big supernatural struggle, and I wanted there to be something different, because everybody does good versus evil, the power of light and darkness. Like everybody and their brother does that, right? I was like, what could I do that was something a little different? Then I was like, what if the two primal forces that are at war with each other are the forces of creativity versus the force of stagnation? Right? It's still kind of good and evil, but it's like a different flavor. Like I know it's not the biggest stretch in the world, but like I'm working with what I got here. But my idea is that the space dragons represent the power of discovery and possibility, the possibility of creativity, right? And the demons represent stagnation and control, like that feeling when you already know the answer, so there's no point in exploring or researching or learning more. So, oh, that wasn't the button I wanted. So what the demons are doing is they're giving the answer to all the questions in the universe. They're offering all of the answers to everything. Think. So then it's this idea of like, what will humanity take? Will they take the choice that gives them all the answers? Or will they take this hard road full of discovery and deeper understanding? Okay. There we go. Oof. So I left this big open spot here. I could put stuff there. Well, even if I only use this map once, it's still fun to make a new map. It's still definitely got that exciting feel to it. Okay. All right, so now I just gotta fill in all those spots and start putting buildings down. I like leaving different sized spaces so I can fit different numbers of buildings and different types of buildings. Normally I build my maps on a 25 by 25, a 25 square by 25 square thing, This is a 50 by 50 because I wanted to see about building a map that was, you know, twice the size. Twice as long, well, actually it's 4 times the size because it's twice as tall, twice as long. But you know what I mean. And I wanted to experiment with very randomized directions on this, and I think I got a pretty interesting and random setup. So now all I got to do is fill stuff in. It's going to be a lot of filling in. Thankfully, it's just the one thing that layers onto itself because it's so irregular that you don't really notice the pattern. We got to look really hard to notice the pattern. So, anyway, the idea is the space dragons wanted the Fueris Luna, the League of the Moon, to guide the different governments of the galaxy without actually taking over themselves, to constantly work from the shadows. But the Fueris Luna took that to mean operating as assassins, operating completely outside of the norm, because they realized that they realized that all the peoples of across space will follow predictable patterns, and that it would be easier for them to just wait and work with the patterns instead of against them. So I was going with this idea of like maximum efficiency, basically maximum efficiency space ninjas. Which sounds a lot more ridiculous now that I say it out loud, but I thought it would serve as an interesting foil for my players because my players are very inefficient. Ooh. Yeah, my players are very inefficient. I actually had to have a meeting with one of my players to optimize their character sheet because Mutants and Masterminds can be a bit of an unforgiving game if your character is built very poorly. The tiles. Ooh. But today's been a fun stream. I actually finally caught the official Green Ronin stream the other day, their Mutants and Masterminds Mondays. And that was actually really interesting to see as they were going through so many different ideas and stuff. It's like, for a game that I've spent so much of my time and money and energy getting to know, it's always exciting to see new people getting into it and playing with it. I wish it was a more popular game. Um, but all I can do is just create content for it, you know? So, the character I made today is going to be a lieutenant of Kazad Trerarot. That's the name of the big bad that's in charge of the ninjas, and is going to confront the players. Because I was thinking about it, I'm like, the big bad wouldn't really have much of a good reason to confront the players. That's not, like, not yet at least. Not till the players have at least gotten in their way, become a thorn in their side. You want there to be some kind of a reason why the big bad actually deigns to interact with your players. And right now, the players aren't enough of a threat. Though, or what I could do is have the players interfere with and botch one of their assassination attempts. That could be an interesting way to go about it. Then the players get to see the assassination attempt firsthand. That could be a thing. I think the thing I like most about the Roll20 map making is that it can snap to the grid. That makes it so easy, at least to line up tiles. That makes it really easy to do. I wonder if there's any. I'm sure Wonder Draft or any of those other ones probably have a grid to snap to as well. A lot of the suggestions I saw online for like what to do to get your Roll20 things were just like screenshot your screen with the map on there and then Photoshop out all the edges, and I'm like, that's one way to do it, I guess. Another thing people were doing were building them in GIMP and other photo editors, and I'm like, that's a thing. I wonder if there's a way to set up a grid in GIMP. That would be cool. Then I could just have things snap to the grid. This is actually kind of comforting of like doing something while I'm on stream so I can chit chat and talk about stuff. What's that? Why is that out of place? Whatever, that's just weird. It's a little repetitive, but it's supposed to be a city. Eh. Okay. So there is the basic outline of the city. Laid out, the street works. Now I just gotta put all the buildings in there. I think with a little bit of effort, I can build something that could look pretty decent. The only question is, do I want to do that now? See, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm actually curious about how I would build the Spider-Man character. Because could I build... I would need to walk through... Like, I could build some kind of a monstrous character. A Spider-Man character. And walk him back to be PL8. I want most of the lieutenants and things the players to face off against, most of the mini bosses that they face off against on foot, to be PL8. Because I think that that's a good level for them to be at in order to challenge my players. All right. I also made, I wanted to show off this. So I made this. Big Papa is another dark vigilante character I made. I used the crime fighter thing and I walked him back from PL10 to PL8. And I think he came out really well. This one is a character that just uses guns and knives. No special gadgets, no gizmos, no complicated things. He's just a very simple character that just uses guns and knives. He's got a bunch of skill masteries. Hero Lab costs money. Nice to see you as well, Jordan. But yeah, Hero Lab, yeah, you can download it for free, but you can't export the character. And if you ever close, and you also can't save the character unless you have the paid version. So because I'm not financially in a position where I can afford to get some of those paid tools, I'm using the free alternatives. Also, I'm going, like, the character needs to get to roll 20 eventually. So if I built the character in Hero Lab, I would want to export it afterwards to roll 20. So it feels kind of off in order to build the character twice. I know if you have the paid version, you can just export it. You can just, with a simple click, you can export the character to roll 20, but that not be option for me. I'm sure it is. Absolutely. I don't question whatsoever that Hero Labs is worth the money. Like, they've put a lot of time and effort and work into boiling down all of the stuff about character creation into one simple thing. And when I was first learning Mutants and Masterminds, I spent 4 to 6 weeks engrossed in Hero Labs, learning every kind of combination imaginable that my mind could come up with, and tinkering with characters, building characters. I built so many characters on Hero Labs. I delved into it so thoroughly, it almost consumed me how much I was getting. I was using Hero Labs. Um, but all of those characters I made disappeared as soon as I turned the program off. Like, my brother uses Hero Labs, but he leaves his computer on. He like leaves Hero Lab open and then leaves his computer on, so that way he doesn't lose the character. And I'm like, at that point, I'll just build it in Roll20. But yes, the thought had definitely occurred to me to use Hero Labs because it is the go-to thing. Like, for my campaign right now, a lot of my players, they built their characters in Hero Labs and then just manually typed the stuff over onto their characters on Roll20. And while that worked to a certain extent, the problem that we ran into was that, oh, there are books from other publishers, you say? The problem that we ran into was, since none of my players have the paid version of Hero Labs, they had to manually type stuff over, and when it came to like equipment, when it came to PowerPoint costs, they weren't versed on how to type that manually into Roll20, so some of their characters just didn't translate properly. What books from other publishers do you wish they would add? So this character is Dragon Mystic I made. I added a few things to him to properly, I feel, represent this character. This is an NPC that my players are going to interact with. Who I think I gave him Ritualist and Artificer, yes. So this is the Space Dragon, one of the Space Dragons taking a humanoid form. Well, humanoid in like the wide stretch of it, he's still a dragonic character. Which greatly limits his powers and capabilities. But he's PL10, I should probably record that. He doesn't have very much combat stuff because they're not supposed to fight him. He's a character they're not supposed to actually fight. He has his powers, his spells are like AoE things or healing or move object or create construct. The mystic construct's important because this character is going to be one of the two characters the players can interact with in order to get a mystical hammer that they'll be able to use to destroy the dragon stone that allows the leader of the Foetus Lunae to keep reviving. Better Mousetrap 3E, Meta-Human Martial Arts, Love and Justice Volume 1 and 2. Oh, I've never heard of those. What's Better Mousetrap about? I've just been using the Green Ronin stuff myself. Where do you find these other publishers? Are they on like Drive-Thru RPG? So there are two space demons I designed. There's the Elder Space Demon, which is the one that actually has Artificer. This is the one that actually has Artificer and can build them the Mystic Space Hammer. The Space Demon Whelp is the one that's going to try to talk to them, and this is the one that's going to try to recruit them to the Space Demon side. Going to try to negotiate with them and try to convince the players that maybe, just maybe, Oh, villains, Amazon, and drive-through RPG. Oh, that's really interesting. I'll have to look into some of those. So you want to see something funny? I designed all these machines and character designs for the Resistance because I fully expected my players to interact with the Resistance, to build relationships, and to like be interacting with them moving forward. But my players just were not interested in them at all. It was like I spent so much time building up all of these things, right? All these mechs and characters and minions and stuff. Ooh, Love and Justice is about including romance in your superhero game. That sounds really interesting. That sounds really interesting. Like, what kind of stuff do they go over? That definitely sounds like something I might consider at some point. All right, let's write the background of this character. All right. I found that one on Amazon. I can remember that there's new feats and archetypes. Oh, that's interesting. Natural Psychic, he searched out Fuetis Luna, that's the League of the Moon, and learned their arts to amplify his own powers. Now he's the right hand of their leader. A capable agent. Enforcing their will across the galaxy. Still got to come up with a picture for him. And a good name. So this is the character we built today. Boop, 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 boop. I think there were new complications in there too. Martial arts book expands combat with a new system to cover over 100 different styles. Really? Was that another one you found on Amazon as well? All right, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. It has been a blast streaming with you all. It's been great to have everybody coming in and giving their own input. Jordan Taylor, that's definitely some interesting stuff you've shared. I'll have to look at some of those books and stuff in the future if I ever get in a financial position to do so. Drive-Thru RPG normally has some really good prices, so I might look into that at some point in the future. But thank you to everyone who came through. A lot of people came through and shared ideas, concepts, compared character builds. It's been a blast. Thank you for putting up with my little habit of building maps. I definitely need to learn if I'm gonna need access to the structure API or whatever in order to export maps. Yes, and the superpowered bestiary is on Drive-Thru. That has a whole lot of creatures, including fantasy. Ooh, that's exciting. More than just the basic stuff, because like the Game Master's Guide has a decent amount of stuff, but it's still pretty limited. That's really exciting. That's really interesting. I'll have to look into it at some point. Like I said, I know Drive-Thru RPG normally has some pretty good prices. Thanks to everybody who came tonight. It was a really great stream. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Remember the motto, shoot for the stars, have wonderful adventures, live your dreams, and always, always, always stop to enjoy the memes. Remember, I love each and every one of you, and you are all valid, wonderful, and capable people, and I believe in each of you. Thanks for coming along, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.